Who's the criminal?
Can we shut that radio off? Okay. Okay, nice and quiet. This is where you okay, so as Tina said, I'm Norm Perrin from Marina Del Rey, Fairwind. I've been with Fairwind for 20 years, by the way. I'm also a member of the Del Rey Yacht Club down in Marina Del Rey. I've actually been to this club a couple of times. I've taken my boat up here a couple of times. For the past 50 years, I've owned a bunch of different ocean-going sailboats. A couple of years ago, I had a Catalina 42, which I used to bring up to this club and over to Santa Barbara, and I've been to all the islands, so I really enjoy the sailing up here, cruising up here. Okay, that's enough about me. I've been doing radios for a long time. Shut up. Yeah, I know. Okay, so we're all here to learn about radios. So let's start off with the one here that says the one that's got the not the one that says which channel to use, but the other sheet. So I'm just going to use this here as kind of a guide of things to talk about. We all know how to turn on the foghorns? No. Okay, so look here, okay, so to turn on a foghorn, okay, in the old days, the Harbor Patrol used to turn the foghorns on for you. Really nice. They don't do that anymore, okay? So it's up to us, the mariners, the ones who really care about the foghorns. So to do that, you put your radio on channel 81. Some radio is going to say 81. Some radio is going to say channel 1081. Some are going to say 81A. I'll talk about the naming, the numbers later on. But you go to basically channel 81, and you press the microphone 5 times within a 10-second period of time. Okay, so you got to be a little quick about it. And unfortunately, you need to be really close to the breakwater, where the foghorn is.
Does it turn it on for a long time?
30 minutes. It turns it on for 30 minutes. So, so they want you close, so that I couldn't sit here and turn it on, and turn it on all the time. So, you got to be real close. So I think everybody should practice that.
Like a transmission, just push.
Yeah, you hit push to talk, release, push to talk, release, 5 times within 10 seconds. Okay? We all know about weather alerts. On Wednesdays, every Wednesday, right around 11 o'clock in the morning, between 11 and 12, they have a weather alert test. So these radios, a lot of radios, even the slightly older ones will have it. So there's another separate radio inside of here listening for this weather alert. So it's just a way to test your radio to see if the weather alert function is working in your radio. Okay, so so in other words, if there really is a real weather alert, there's a thunderstorm coming through or a hurricane or something like that, they'll bring all the radios, they'll make loud noises on all the radios and bring them all to the weather channel. All that's going to happen kind of automatic, but your weather alert function has to be working in your radio. And that's what this 11 o'clock on Wednesday test is all about. So I highly recommend, if take your radio, maybe even at home, it's going to work fine at home. At 11 o'clock any Wednesday, turn it on. Put it on the channel 16. Don't put it on the weather, because the goal is for their weather alert test to put you on the weather channel. So that's something everybody should practice with. It's pretty nice to know about. Okay, we talked about the new channel numbers. Okay, so in the old days, like you probably remember channel 22 Alpha, right? That's the Coast Guard liaison channel. Well, they're in the process of changing that. All the newer radios is going to be channel 1022. So whenever there was an A in the channel designation, drop the A and put a 10 in front of it. So the newer radios, don't turn your radios on now. We'll do it later, and go up to channel 21, and the next channel you should see 1022. And the same thing with 81A, okay, as I mentioned at the beginning. Since there's an A in channel 81 on item A here, it's really going to be 1081 for the newer radios. The older radio is still going to say 81A or 81. Okay. NOAA weather. Do you guys ever use WX4 here for the weather on Point Dume? It's really nice. It's especially good for Marina Del Rey. It gives us kind of a focus of the weather in Santa Monica Bay. But you know, you guys should play around with it and see if you find it of any value to the Channel Islands area. It's a nice weather channel. And so a couple of years ago, the Coast Guard came up with a thing called Rescue 21. So they guaranteed that they will hear a 1-second transmission from a 1-watt radio with an antenna 6 feet above sea level. And that's out to 30 miles. Pretty good. So they have a whole bunch of directional antennas scattered along the coast. So they're actually going to triangulate and do a fairly good job of finding out where you are if you have an issue. So what you would do with this is you'd go to channel 16, you know, do a Mayday or something like that, and then if you don't have a DSC radio with the built-in GPS and stuff, they'll still be able to triangulate and get pretty close to you. Okay, channel 27. Did you guys ever have a channel 27 here? I'm not familiar with here. Marina Del Rey, we had it's absolutely fantastic. CETO did it. They gave us channel 27, so we could test our radios. We could go to channel 27 and say, this is the vessel, my boat was called Aphrodisiac. This is vessel Aphrodisiac testing on channel 27. And they would record that and then play back a small advertisement for you and then play back your audio. Really fantastic. So, you know, if somebody says, hey, you know, you got a lot of buzz in your radio or something like that, well, you can hear it yourself without, you know, having another radio for someplace else to listen to it. But that's being phased out. I hope it comes back. Who knows? I don't know. Okay, so that's some of the recent things in the radios. But we're all here about the big red distress button, right? We all know what that does? Okay. So all the DSC radios, digital selective calling is what it stands for. They all have a distress button, and usually you have to flip up a little plastic guard or something like that. Okay, and then inside of it is a push button you push. So if you push that button on the display, it's going to say distress is going to be sent out in 3 seconds. You really want it? Distress is going to be sent out in 2 seconds, and it's going to count down, and then it's going to send a distress out. And today I'm actually going to demonstrate that, exactly how the distress works. It's fascinating. So that's going to be at the second half of this seminar. So what happens is there's a GPS in all these newer radios, and it's an MMSI number. Maritime Mobile Service Identity is what it stands for, if you always wonder what it stands for. Stupid name, but they had to come up with some name. So think of it as a phone number. And so each radio is programmed with a unique MMSI number. And that number is very hard to change, by the way. Technically, you can only input it once. You can send this back to the factory and they can reset it for you, but it's probably a charge in doing that. Did I hear a comment? What? It's complicated, yeah. So anyway, you can't erase that yourself. Okay, let me see. There's one thing I wanted to read to you. So, I mean, if you don't enter your MMSI number in here, so there's a couple different MMSI numbers. There's an individual, so there's a directory of MMSI numbers, which we'll talk about, and then there's one called the user. I call it the user MMSI, which is the one you have to enter at the very beginning when you first get your radio. So if you don't enter that radio, it's a free number, by the way. Okay, you can go to Boat US if you belong to Boat US, or U.S. Power Squadron, I think, is actually better than Boat US. Or you can go to the FCC if you think you're going to bring your boat down outside of the United States. I'll talk more about the FCC a little bit later. So if you don't enter that number, okay, you can press that distress button all you want. Nothing's going to happen. And I was just surfing a web one day, and I came across this. I think it's worth a minute to read it to you. The red distress button will not summon help as intended unless the radio has been programmed with an MMSI. We know that. Some boaters will erroneously say that without the MMSI program, a distress call will still work. Quote, it will just send zeros to the Coast Guard instead of the boat's MMSI number. This is false. DSC radios will not send Mayday using the red button without an MMSI. The red distress button will not signal distress. I think that's so important. You know, I mean, it's a free number. You know, I see so many radios that, you know, we turn it on and it keeps hounding them to enter their MMSI number. So I just wanted to reinforce that, how important that number is. So if you buy one of these radios, be sure you get MMSI, and I'll talk about how to get them soon. Okay, so we talked about the distress button. It's going to send. I'm in item 1A. It's going to send a GPS position. Okay, it's also to all boaters in range. So in other words, a couple of people could be chatting here on channel 78 or something like that, and if somebody hits the distress button, those radios will be brought over to channel 16. Pretty nice. And those radios will see the MMSI number who initiated that call. They will also see the range and bearing to that vessel in distress. So you might say, oh wow, this guy, he's only a mile away from me. Boy, I should go over and see if I could help him. So then you get a chance to go on channel 16 because he's going to bring your radio to channel 16. Even though you could be listening to the weather, you could be chit-chatting, whatever you want, and all the radios are going to go to channel 16. So then you can call him and say, hey, you know, vessel so-and-so, you know, I'm about a mile away. I'm on my way over to see you, or something like that. So it's really nice that, you know, and of course the Coast Guard also gets the call. Coast Guard's probably going to get in there also and thank you for doing that and things like that. So good. Okay. So all boaters within range. If you guys have any questions, you know, feel free to put your hand up or something like that. Yes?
How far will you get a range on that radio with the distress call?
Well, it depends on the antenna. Antenna is the most important thing, okay? This little rubber ducky antenna, maybe 3 miles, maybe 4, I don't know. You know, maybe if you're in the flying bridge of some big power boat or something like that, you may get 5 miles out of it, out of a handheld. Most of us, at least all the Fairwind and all the bigger boats, they have a masthead antenna. That masthead antenna has some gain. There's no gain from this antenna at all, so it's not very good. It's better than nothing, but it's not very good. But the 25-watt radios on the bigger boats will probably have 30-mile range. Okay, at least as far as the Coast Guard will hear them probably 40 miles away, 50 miles away maybe. Yes?
The bearing that you get is it true? I assume it's a true bearing?
And it's going to be true. It's not magnetic.
Thank you.
Okay, and it depends on the radio. Okay, unfortunately, Standard Horizon, I don't agree with them, but they want to do everything in true. Most of us are I like to do things in magnetic. I wish I had the option of selecting magnetic, but everything is true.
The range you mentioned?
Yes.
You might want to mention that double the cell-phone batteries versus an iCab that you
Okay.
talked about.
Okay. Good point. So some radios have a little magazine you can put alkaline batteries in. All the Standard Horizon radios, at least the DSC radios have. This is in the box. Put 5 alkaline batteries, AAAs. It's pretty nice. Okay, so you know if you don't have a charger, you know you're doing a long cruise or something like that, and you want a ditch bag set of batteries, something like that, you get a bunch of AAAs. Pretty nice. If you don't have the capability of charging it. The only drawback is it drops down from 6 watt, max of 6 watts to 1 watt of transmission. But 1 watt's still better than nothing. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, well, I didn't make sure everybody knew that.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes.
Can you get a larger antenna for this phone?
Yes. Okay. Now, I was going to talk about that, but I'll talk about it right now. So that's one of the other good things. At least the Standard Horizon radios, it's got a standard SMA male connector, and so this is a ham radio antenna. It screws in there really nicely. So we got at least double the range with this antenna, maybe more. It's really hard to measure. So you know if you maybe you got a small boat, you don't have a nice big masthead antenna, get a drink holder, just set that in the drink holder and you'll have a much better reception.
Where do you get those?
Amazon has them. Almost everybody has them. If you want to get one, if you're not sure, it's SMA mail. So you send me an email. My email's all over the place. Yeah, pretty nice to have.
What did you say? What did you call it? It's a ham radio antenna?
Well, it's designed for ham radios, but it works great with these marine radios. The key is SMA is just the name of a connector, and it's a male.
Thank you.
Okay, no more questions? Okay. Well, I'm on item 1B. It transmits your urgency. So here's the other neat thing, okay? When this was counting down, remember I told you it's going to say I'm going to transmit in 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. During that time, they give you a chance to enter a menu where you can specify what kind of urgency you have. In other words, if you have a boat fire, it's a lot different than if you're drifting. So you have a chance to go into the menu and you can say boat fire. So then you may get more help sooner, who knows. But if you're just drifting, it's nice to know that you're drifting out there, but there's different urgencies. Let me just put it that way. Okay, item 1C, I talked about that. It's going to drag all the radios over to channel 16. I want to demonstrate that. 1D, so it's going to continue to transmit that distress every 4 minutes. That's also pretty good to know, okay? So let's say that you just have a handheld and you have a problem. You hit the distress button, maybe you put it in the drink holder or something like that, and go deal with your problem. And then every 4 minutes, it's going to remind everybody, hey, there's a distress call here someplace, and it's going to have the latitude, longitude, and stuff like that.
Can you cancel it?
Okay, canceling is tough. Turns out that the only certain radios like Harbor Patrol and Coast Guard can cancel those calls. But what you can do is, if you do it accidentally, then you just go back to channel 16 and say, hey, look, guys, I'm sorry, but I just did a distress call. It was done in error. Please ignore it, and the Coast Guard will eventually cancel it. Okay. It kind of talks about that, but I don't know if that works.
What did it talk about doing?
No, it wouldn't be in
Down
there.
in something else.
You know what? Can you write a note to look that up? How to cancel distress call on the radio?
Two buttons at once.
Yeah, you know what? I have not read that, but I should find out about it. Thank you for that. Okay, we're on item 2. Okay, now you can selectively drag and call other boaters or a group of boaters or all ships, to the channel of your choice. So hope everybody remembers the 5 pleasure boat channels. That's really, really important. That's why I have them here in bold. 68, 69, 71, 72, 78. And if you ever get confused about, you need to make a fast decision or something like that, what's a pleasure boat channel? Remember, channel 69 is a pleasure boat channel. Anyway, okay. So my favorite channel, by the way, is channel 78. A lot of people seem to kind of forget about channel 78, so I think that one's kind of on a quiet side, more quiet than other channels. I mean, everybody uses 68, so that's a bad place to bring somebody. Okay. These radios, at least the standard horizon, allows you to enter 100 MMSI numbers. All the Fairwind guys, you're probably going to get 60 or 70 MMSI numbers from today, the person's name and stuff like that. If you don't know them, you can feel free to delete them. They don't take up a lot of space. It just slows the scrolling a little bit, but anyway, that's just the way it works. You can also define your own 8-digit group number. Okay, so I've set up a bunch of group numbers for a bunch of clubs. So the big one is Fairwind. Okay, so you see that 03224794663. By the way, that's the letters FAIRWIND on a telephone keypad, if you've ever kind of forgotten what the number is. I think make it. Yeah, since I can pick any number I want, I may as well make it something that people can relate to. And for the WSA, I just made WSA, WS. This is a 6-digit number. The number associated with those keys. And Channel Islands is, so they all start with a 0 designated to be in a group. And then we put your 7-digit phone number in there. And since in the old days you used to have to hit a 1 first, we put a 1 in there. So that's how we got the Channel Island phone number in there. And if you have us program your radios, we'll ask you what club you belong to, and we'll pre-program that your club. And if you belong to a couple of clubs, we can incorporate as many group numbers as you want, up to 20. Okay. So we're on item 5. Some other things you can do. It's pretty slick. Okay, since these radios have GPSs in them, you can request a position from another radio. Pretty slick. Okay. I mean, you think, okay, we all know how AIS works. AIS is pretty nice. You can get the position of things. But people that don't have AIS, if you're out there with your buddy out in the ocean someplace, you can send him your position. And some chart plotters will actually plot. They'll bring up a window that will show range and bearings. It looks like a man overboard waypoint, and then so you can navigate to the person. At least you know how far away you are and stuff like that, your buddy. Even though you don't have AIS, so that's kind of a nice little toy. Okay, item 6. Okay, I talked about that. The urges. So we get the yes.
How does the group work?
Okay.
If I call the group, is it anybody who has that group number in the radio?
Exactly. That's exactly how it works. Yeah. So that's why. So one of my goals today was to get a lot of people into different groups, or a lot of radios into different groups. So if he makes a group call, all the radios that have that group number in will ring bells and whistles and be brought over to the proper channel. Yeah. Did everybody hear that? Yes? Okay.
You could program multiple individual numbers too, and then select the
No,
one
you can. Okay. So you can have a directory of individual numbers. Yes. Okay. And then up to 20 group numbers.
But I mean, if you have individual numbers, so you could program different boats.
Yes.
Boat you're going to be on.
Yes. Yes. But you can only call one of them at a time.
Got it.
Okay. Now you'll also notice that all the Fairwind boats are in there. All the MMSI numbers that we have for Fairwind boats, they're all in there. Both the Channel Island ones and the Marina Del Rey boats.
I
Yes.
want to make sure I understand. It's not. You only have one MSI number for your radio.
That's right. That's called I call that the user MMSI number.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Right. Yes.
So in terms of creating the group, so like if we go on a cruise with multiple boats, can we ad hoc create a group?
You could, but you may as well use the Fairwind group number.
So that'll bring all Fairwind.
Yeah, so what? So what? Within range, that's true. Within range. It gets people talking. Give them something to do.
It's only a few mile range, so.
Right. Yeah, that's everybody. Consider me the radio guy at Fairwind. So, when I go on a cruise or even a day sail, I'll always do a couple of group calls. It bugs people, but you know what? It gets them to use their radio. Learn more about their radio. Learn about the features. If you think about it, it's a fantastic feature that I can bring you over to my favorite channel. That's pretty nice.
But you have to be on the radio.
The radio must be on. Yeah, the radio must be on. Yes, that's true. Question? Yes.
So did you say that when you ask, send out a message to a group, you're not really sending it to a group, you're sending it to a particular boat?
No? Okay. Group, I'm sending it out to a group number. Okay? And all the radios that have that group number programmed in it as a group will respond. It's not really a message, okay? All it's doing is it's initiating a call and bringing all those radios to your favorite channel.
Like a conference call.
Like a conference call, yeah.
So everybody can talk at the same
Yeah,
time?
well, technically, yes. Yeah, you could. Yeah, you know what, you got that problem anyway, Yes.
So I was using this feature recently on a cruise just boat to boat. Somebody called me and we talked, but what I noticed was after the call, I was left on channel 8.
Okay. Okay.
Is that because
So-
you didn't set it up correctly?
No, not at all. Okay, so what does the DSC do? Really, it just initiates the call. That's all it does. Okay, and then after that, I mean, the radio is just like the old regular radio that you're used to. Okay, I mean, there's nothing special about the radio after that. Yeah, the DSC brought you to channel 8, and you stayed there until you went back to 16.
Okay, so it's just, but you're not on a private call.
No, not at all.
Just bringing you to the channel.
Just initiating the call. That's all we do. By the way, channel 8's a commercial channel. You should not be using that.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that, okay? So these Standard Horizon radios, the ICOM radios and the Unidins and all the other, they all do the same thing, by the way. They don't know how you're going to use your radio. You may do it as commercial. You may do it as port operations. You may do it as search and rescue. You may do it as pleasure boat. They don't know. So they put, 3 or 4 of each category of channels in there. And the lowest one is channel 8. That's the one most people pick. But part of my program is to get rid of channel 8. I get rid of channel 6. I get rid of channel 8. And you also had channel, I think it was like 68 or 69 or something like that missing. But I put those channels back in as part of my programming here.
So was the initiator of the call, was it his radio that determined which channel we
Yes.
were going to be on?
Yes.
It didn't show, as far as I could tell, when the call came in and I received it, it didn't tell me what channel we were going to be on.
It should.
It should?
It should.
Okay, I might have missed that.
It should. Okay, so part of today is I'm hoping that you guys you'll learn enough about it today so that you'll have a chance to call your neighbor, or someone you know. Yes.
Doesn't that also put the name of the boat on it as well?
Well, it may. It's just like caller ID on a cell phone. If you've programmed that number in and associated with the boat name, the boat name will show up. Yes. Yes.
So when you do DSC calling and it gives you some channels to call, 13 is one of them.
Right.
So you shouldn't use 13.
13 is a good channel.
Oh, you can use that?
Yeah, I want to talk about channel 13. It's a good channel.
Oh, okay. I thought that was something else.
No, that's actually a good channel.
All right.
Yes.
What was the other channel you said you removed? Channel 8 for the commercial, what was the other? 6?
Oh, I don't remember. Yeah, 6. Yeah. So 6 is also, we have another sheet with all the channel numbers. I'll talk about some of them soon. Yeah. Okay. Nothing else? Okay, where are we up to? Okay, we talked about 6. Okay, item 7. This is also an important one. I get invited to go on a lot of boats. I go on a lot of boats, and quite often, the latitude, longitude numbers on their radio is all blanked out. It really bothers me. So they think they have a good radio, and so if they would ever hit the distress button, latitude of all zeros is going to pop up. So Coast Guard's not going to know where to look for you. So if you see zeros or funny looking GPS coordinates, either try to figure it out on your own or get somebody who knows what they're doing to hook up a pair of wires to your GPS, to your radio. So important. Luckily on these handheld radios, the built-in GPS, so you don't have to worry about that. And a lot of fixed mount radios also have built-in GPS now. It's pretty nice. But the old original ones, they needed the GPS to get the coordinates. Okay. Okay. Can enter waypoints. Okay, this is also pretty neat. Item 8. Okay. So also, if I program the radio, I put in a lot of Channel Island, Santa Cruz Island. We even get Betchers in there. I think we got Kyler in there. We get a lot of neat waypoints. Now, I don't really anticipate you're going to use that for your shipboard navigation, but it's a nice backup. You know, I mean, just you know, if something ever happened or you want to double check or something like that, you can pull up these radios, and we have waypoints in them, and you know, you can get double check with your own navigation. The problem is it's all true, so you need to do your own true to magnetic calculation.
Can you pull up the coordinates of the waypoint? If you know where you're at on a boat, you
Sure.
You set a waypoint.
Oh, yeah.
Just pressing the
Sure.
the mark button.
I don't. Yeah, you can save one with the mark button. Yes. Yes.
I get a waypoint, but I haven't been able to figure out how to get the coordinates.
Yeah, you know, you got to type it in this hokey little keyboard. It's pretty tough.
I know when you put it in, but I'm saying that if you press the, for example, if you don't enter it that way, there's a way that you can enter it by just pressing the, it's a selection on the menu. What the heck is it?
Mark. Yeah, mark. Yeah.
And you press mark.
Yep.
You got a waypoint.
Right.
And then you name the waypoint, you know, Fairway.
Sure.
So my problem is I can't go back and get the coordinates of longitude and latitude for that waypoint. I got the name, but I don't have the coordinates.
I think you can.
Can you? Okay.
I think you can. You know, I mean, you know, try it one more time. You know, when we get into a lab session, and if you can't find it, you get my attention.
Where do you find waypoints?
I'll tell you what. When we all have our radios on, we'll go through those menus. Yeah. Okay. We talked about some radios also have a MOB, man overboard. So there's also a man overboard button on these radios. Pretty nice, you know. I mean, especially if you got it, you know, some people they kind of clip one to their PFD or something like that, put it in the pocket or something like that. So you got a cheap little MOB, man overboard locator. It's not the best, but you know what? If you already get the radio, it's another option. Okay. Item 9. So the new radios, the HX891BT, BT is in Bluetooth, has a it's not right. So it also has a Bluetooth headpiece you can buy for the radio. Now, it's not the same kind of headpiece that you're using for your cell phone, unfortunately. I wish it was the same headpiece, but it's not. You have to buy their proprietary headpiece. And with that, you know, you can set this in a drink holder or something like that, you know, have your Bluetooth, and it actually does VOX. So, you know, you can start talking, and it's going to start transmitting. And, of course, you can hear the other guy all through the Bluetooth headphone on the BT 891 radios, the standard Horizon. It's a toy. They also have group monitor. A group monitor is pretty interesting. It's kind of almost similar to AIS. So what you can do is you can program in to up to 9 radios a group monitor code, and then any one of those 9 radios can see where all the other boats are, pretty much in real time. It's like I think like about a 2-minute lag. So it's pretty nice. Okay, so you can see where all the boats in your fleet are. You know, if they program the group monitor. It's a toy. I don't see many people use it. I actually did an experiment. I had 9 radios one day, and we're all walking around, and it was kind of neat watching them walk. Pretty interesting. Yes, question?
Yeah, so you said this is for Standard Horizon. Has that feature?
I think only Standard Horizon has that.
But can you have one Standard Horizon radio monitor the other radio
No.
that's not Standard Horizon?
No. They're all proprietary. You know, they want you to go out and buy their radios.
For that group, you put in MMSI?
What?
For that group,
Yeah, it's a little more complicated than that. But yeah, you have to define a group number, a different group number than we talked about earlier, a group monitor group number, and then put MMSI numbers in there.
Of the vessel.
What?
Of the vessel.
Yeah. Well, MMSI number. You know, it could be however you want to do it. You know, you can call it by name, people names.
Thank you.
It's like somebody found the FM radio.
How did that happen?
Let's turn it off.
I'm trying.
Okay. And then, let's see. I also, back to item 9, okay. Also, the Standard Horizon, the HX 870 does not have this, but the 890 and 891 does, a scrambler. I want to demonstrate that. It's pretty slick, actually. When we get into the lab portion, I'll demonstrate that. Okay, on item 10, since I wired all my stuff on my own boat myself, I got the chart plotter to show all these. If somebody sent me their position, or I requested somebody else's position, or if there's a distress call, all these waypoints would show up on my chart plotter. Pretty slick. Okay. Item 11 is a quote DSC is a test call, and in the Standard Horizon, I think all the ICOMs, I think all the radios have this. There's a menu that called test call, and I just tried it on Tina's radio. And for some reason, right here now, maybe if I was outside, it would pick it up. So what happens is, and there's a special MMSI number. You can see that in item 11. Okay, very special MMSI numbers, which I programmed in all the radios, by the way. It's at the very bottom. It's going to say like Z U.S. Coast Guard or something like that, because you're not going to use it very often. It's in the individual directory, by the way. But yet you go to the menu for test call to test it. So what that does is it simulates everything in the radio except for actually pushing the distress button. So it checks to be sure that your radio is sending out, the right MMSI number, and it's sending out all the distress, the GPS, and all this other stuff. And the Coast Guard has a couple of monitoring stations around that will send you an acknowledgement back to say, oh yeah, we got your call. It's a toy. Works. But it doesn't work, at least in this building, it didn't work here in Channel Islands. Okay, so we talked about the MMSI numbers. Where do you get them? I actually like U.S. Power Squadron. I think U.S. Power Squadron actually is better than Boat U.S., my personal feeling. Boat U.S. will give you a free number if you're a Boat U.S. member. Otherwise, it costs you $25 the last time I checked. U.S. Power Squadron's free. U.S. Power Squadron is more reliable, in my opinion. And those will give you the 338 numbers. Okay. And then the FCC will give you a number like 367, 368, 366 numbers, so you can always tell if somebody has registered their MMSI with the U.S. with the U.S. code with the FCC instead of Boat U.S. So that's if you're going to go to international waters. It costs like $208 or something like that. It's good for 10 years. And the only difference is all the countries will have a database of all these MMSI numbers with next of kin phone numbers and vessel description and stuff like that. So it's pretty nice. So if let's say you're cruising down in Mexico, so let's say you get one of these FCC numbers. Okay, it's just like the Coast Guard would be able to reverse engineer and figure out about your boat and how to reach your immediate family and stuff like that. But if you go there with a U.S. Power Squadron number, they're just going to see an MMSI number. They don't have the mapping to get back to next of kin and boat description and stuff like that. So, I mean, people ask me all the time, okay, so, I'm just going to do like the Ensenada race or something like that. Do I need an FCC number? My feeling is if you're just going to be down here for a couple days, you don't need to spend it $200. And plus the hassle of changing all your numbers, especially if you have AIS, because the AIS shares the same MMSI number. So, if you're going to go, you can do the Baja, something like that, being down here for a couple of weeks or something like that, then I think you really need to get the FCC number. Okay?
Did you say your AIS shares the same MSI?
Yes, it's supposed to. It really should. But I know a lot of people who don't. I try to talk. Okay, so here's another good point. Okay, some of the radios, most of the fixed mount, only the fixed mount radios, the big ones you see below in the boats. Even with the RAM mic, the remote access mic you have out in the cockpit, you can pull up AIS targets on that, and you can say, oh wow, okay, so this boat, the closest boat to me, I'd love to be able to talk to him, see what his intentions are. could be out in the shipping lane, okay? And this boat's kind of doing some weird things, and you want to know, should you go in front of him or behind him, or what should you do? Where is he planning on going? So you can see through AIS, see all these boats, probably the closest one, the top one, and right from your handheld radio, you can do a DSC call to him and ring loud bells and whistles to him. And then, so he's going to answer it. You know, he's not going to ignore the call because it's going to make noises just like you're going to hear real soon. And then channel 13 is a really good option for you. Bridge to bridge, okay? So I actually use channel 13 a fair amount. I think it's a great channel. It automatically drops your transmit power to 1 watt, which is really nice. So if you just, maybe your radio is always on 25 watts, but you want to talk to your buddy who's a half a mile away or something like that, use channel 13. And I'm pretty sure I put that in the list of it's called Intership channels. It's a nice channel. Okay, item 2. Yeah, be sure your radio is connected to a GPS. I talked about that a little bit. A lot of handhelds have a fixed GPS right now, so you don't have to worry about that. Questions on sheet 1? Okay, if you come up with questions, let me know. You know what?
Resetting of the stress call.
Okay,
right
okay. Page 40.
Yeah.
Okay, 891.
Yeah,
okay. Okay, well that's good. Good. That's good. I need to research that. Yeah, I need to read about it. Thank you for that. Okay, let's go to the second page. So this is it's pretty detailed. Okay, I'm just going to highlight a couple of them. Okay, channel 16. I think we all know what channel 16 is for, right? Hailing and distress only. Okay, no radio checks. And I don't know about here. I'm assuming here is the same as the South Bay. The Coast Guard will chew you out if you do a radio check on channel 16, so you shouldn't do it. Although channel 9 is the preferred channel to do radio checks, by the way. Channel 9 is kind of an overflow of channel 16, is I think the way that the Coast Guard thinks about it. So if you want to do a radio check, I think channel 9 is the best place to do it. A lot of people monitor channel 9. Okay, and we talked about the Mayday, the Pon-Pon, and Securite. You can read about it, when you would use which one. My feeling is if you're not sure, do a Mayday. What the hell? I don't think you're going to get chewed out, I mean, if something graves, if somebody falls in the water, definitely a Mayday. Don't even think about it. If you see something bad in the water or something like that, you know what? Nobody's going to chew you out and say, hey, that should have been a Pon-Pon instead of a Mayday. The Coast Guard will definitely jump in and they'll say, hey, you know what? It probably wasn't grave enough for a Mayday, but at least now you know. I think you really, it doesn't cost anything to do a Mayday versus the others. I don't think they're going to send any equipment out, a helicopter. They're going to talk to you before they do that. I'm pretty sure. So anyway, when in doubt, I'd use Mayday. Okay, how to make a distress call. Here's kind of the words you would use. Okay, I repeat here, channel 68, 69, 71, 72, 78. The only channels that boaters can use. Okay, channel 9 I talked about. Okay, it's kind of an overflow of channel 16. It's also used for some of the harbor patrols. Pretty nice. The Isthmus. It's used for the Isthmus, the harbor patrol, and a shore boat. Channel 6, we talked very briefly about channel 6. It's the safety channel. So my feeling is, okay, I do a lot of scanning at home. I have a really nice high gain antenna at home, pretty high up. And so I do scans. And I have channel 6 in very little use. So it's a safety channel. So here's my feeling. Let's say you're buddy boating. Maybe you're overheating or something like that. You're getting nervous. It's not a Mayday or anything like that. You're getting kind of nervous. I think that qualifies you to talk to a buddy on channel 6. I mean, it's still kind of safety related. You could overheat or have a fire or something like that. So, to me, I just assume push it a little bit and use channel 6 instead of trying to fight with everybody else on 78 or, 68 or something like that. So I think channel 6 is a pretty decent channel to use if you can stretch safety a little bit. Yes.
Just got an example of channel 6 because we got hailed by one of the freighters because we were on a collision course eventually, and they wanted to know if we'd seen them. Because we haven't. But he said, go to channel 6.
Okay.
And so I didn't realize it was safety, but
yep.
he did.
Good. Yep. So he probably should have brought you to 13. Okay. But maybe he thought you could have maybe a little handheld radios, I don't know, or something that the 1 watt wouldn't penetrate or something like that. Going to channel 6, it'll still do it at 25 watts. So I think that was a great example. Yeah. Okay. 6. Okay, we talked about channel 13. It's technically bridge to bridge. You know what? If I want to talk to my buddy a little ways, I'll go to channel 13. It automatically drops me down to 1 watt, pretty nice. Okay, so I'm not going to interfere with too many other boats. It's not used a lot. Pretty quiet. Channel 14, marine traffic. Everybody familiar with 14? You guys ever listen to channel 14? That's where all the freighters. Okay. Now so you're lucky. I think you're outside of the precautionary zone. This is interesting. You should know about this. So centered Los Angeles Harbor is the center of what they call a 25-mile precautionary zone. So 25-mile radius, okay, which probably brings you up to Point Dume. I haven't really checked it out. So vessels, mostly freighters, in that precautionary zone are not required to monitor channel 16. They probably do, but they're not required. And if you call them, they're not required to answer you. They talk to you on channel 14, or they talk to you on channel 6 or channel 13, but they're not required to monitor because they already have a bunch of radios on, and they may not have enough radios or something like that. But so in that precautionary zone. Interesting. Yes.
This channel 14, that's kind of new. I never knew this, and we deal a lot, obviously, with the channel traffic going back and forth to the islands. How would you hail them on 14?
Go to channel 14. This is calling vessel. You see them on AIS maybe something like that. Calling whatever. Costco or whatever. This is vessel so and so. On channel 14. You just call just like anything else.
Oh, that doesn't go. You said something about LA, and so that doesn't go. That would just go vessel to vessel. You're not calling somebody that's monitoring traffic.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know the Channel Islands that much. Okay. But I think since you're out of the channel 14 vessel traffic is what's officially called. Right up on the hill there in San Pedro, LA Harbor, is where all the radios and their antennas are. So they're more interested in a 25-mile range. But out here, you can talk to vessels, on channel 14.
Would they answer on 14?
Sure.
Because they never answer on 16, that's for sure.
Well, what do I say about that? They're not obligated within a 25-mile radius of Los Angeles Harbor. They probably will, but they're not obligated to.
Okay.
Because they already have a bunch of other radios on different channels, and you should also say the channel number. So, calling them on channel 14. They may have 3 radios there, and they don't know which one made the noise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Okay. 14. Okay. Channel 81A, we talked about that for the foghorn. Channel 27, we talked about that. Currently not available. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just hoping it comes back, so I leave it in there. Channel 12, okay. So the Channel Island Harbor Patrol, I guess, monitors Channel 12. Avalon does also. Okay, but who? Ventura? Okay.
And also the foghorn is Ventura, which is
81, yeah, but this is I'm on 12 here. Channel 12, yeah, 81, yeah. Okay, and some radios have a dual watch, some have a triple watch. It all depends on the radio. and they all have what they call a priority channel. The priority channel is usually channel 16. So if you're on, we'll say dual watch, you may have a club cruise. You pick channel 71 or something like that for the club cruise. People don't want to listen to all the chatter on 16, although you're supposed to have channel 16 on technically, but a lot of people don't like to listen to it. So they may just monitor channel 71. But yet if somebody talks on 16, the priority channel will break in and it's just like a scanner that scans between the two channels. You probably already know that. Okay, and I talked about the channels ending in A, such as Coast Guard Liaison 22A, and now in the process of dropping and adding a 10 in front. Okay, any questions?
Are they just renaming the channel? They're not changing the frequency?
They're not changing the frequency at all. Yeah, just a rename. Yeah. Okay. So I think we're ready for the still, I'll keep your radios off. Okay, so Tina, keep your radio off also. Okay? There's a reason for that. So I'm going to put my radio on. Okay? So I'm going to call Tina's radio. Oh, you know, let me one more little toy I have. Kind of interesting for the techies. Have a
channel mode.
Baofeng radio, okay, cheap ham radio. So I have that set to the frequency of channel 70. Okay, remember in the old days, anybody remembers that you could use channel 70 as one of the at that time was 6 pleasure boat channels. And I don't know if you remember, but they went through a couple of year transition where you couldn't use channel 70 anymore. But yet, if you had it on, you heard some really weird chirps. Well, this little radio here is going to show the traffic that's happening with these radios. Kind of interesting. Okay, so I want to try calling Tina. Okay, so for me, what I do is the best thing for me to do, since I'm going to bring her over to my favorite channel, I should be listening on that channel. Be sure there's not a couple of people talking already. So I'm going to go pick one of my favorite channels. Give me a second. Okay, this is a fine channel.
What channel are you on?
I'm not going to tell you. She's going to tell me. No, her radio's not on. I have this all planned. And I'll know that her radio's not on. Okay, so I'm on my favorite channel. So I do a menu, DSC call. I'm going to do an individual call. So I've already practiced with her, so she's already in my history. So I just hit the history button. Oh, Tina Todd shows up at the top. That's pretty nice. Okay, so I'll select that, and then I'm going to select my favorite channel here. Your radio's off, correct? Perfect. So I'm going to try calling you. Okay. So now you're going to hear this guy here chirp. So you're going to hear that somebody's using channel 70, making a call. So I'm going to do it right now. Okay. So I'm just listening. I'm waiting for her to acknowledge the call and talk back at me. But for some reason, either she doesn't want to talk to me, or her radio's off, or she's out of range. Okay? Gives me some information. Kind of interesting. Okay, why don't you put your radio on? In fact, put it on one of the weather channels. I should hear the weather. Okay, great. So I want to see if I can break through her radio, her weather, and bring her over to my favorite channel. Pretty slick, huh? Okay, so in my radio, since I just made a call to her, I have a button called resend. Okay, can you hear her radio? Okay, it's a little bit on the weak side right now, but her radio is making some noises. Okay, and you probably heard this thing here chirp once. Pretty soon she's going to acknowledge the call, and that's going to chirp again, and then my radio is going to say, "Oh wow, she wants to talk to you now." Okay, so what happened there? A lot of things happened. Okay, so what channel did I bring you over, Tina?
13. 13,
yeah. Pretty slick. I know, that was pretty fast. We're going to do it again. I don't know. I think it's such a neat feature. And people just don't know about it. That's one of my goals in life. Oh, yeah, we're going through a lot of other stuff going on.
Oh, they're just picking it up.
Yeah, it's picking it up. Yeah.
So within range, anybody else on the same channel will hear your conversation with Tina.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. All the DSC does is it initiates the call. After that, the radios, I mean, anybody with the old, 20-year-old radio will hear all this stuff. Yes?
While it's initiating the call, there's a bit of time
Right.
left. Is it occupying the channel during that time?
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, it probably is. But, but if somebody else wanted to talk, but I purposely monitor that channel, the channel 13, be sure nobody's talking. Because if two people are talking, I don't want to bring her over. Then it gets messy, and I got to tell her to go someplace else. Pain in the butt. Yeah.
What did Tina do to answer?
Okay. So her radio is in kind of a different mode than my radio. My radio, I believe, does automatic acknowledge. Her radio does not do that. So she had a option, say, able.
She did hit accept.
Yeah, I know. So she had to hit able, okay, and then I think she had to quit also. Once the call was made, she had to hit quit. Okay. What?
Why was she quitting?
Oh, just to get out of the menus. But we're already talking at that point. So at some point in time, before she wants to go back to channel 16, she should hit quit.
So you calling her brought her from the weather channel to your channel?
Yes. So in case you didn't hear that, me calling her broke into her weather channel. She was happily listening to the weather, and I wanted to talk to her, so I brought her over to my favorite channel. Pretty neat.
But then, when she's done with the call, she has to go back to the weather channel.
Yeah, the weather or 16.
Well,
yeah,
whatever you
right.
listen
That's right. Yeah, it's up to
You have to manually go back.
She has to do that. Yeah, right.
Tina, did you go right back to weather when you? So it didn't automatically go back to weather.
It doesn't. No. Okay. So let's do that again. We'll go. In fact, Tina, why don't you call me? Okay. So I'm gonna go over to channel 16. Okay. I'm a good sailor. I'm sitting on channel 16. Okay. Well, what I'd like you to do is to pick one of the 5, actually 6, working channels. Listen. Be sure nobody's talking on it. While she's doing that, I'm ready to pick up the call. So I'm going to do a distress call really. Okay, no, the next thing we're going to do a scrambler. Okay, so she made the call. Okay, so my radio automatically acknowledged. Okay, I don't know if you heard the 2 chirps.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're both on channel 68. So I hit a key and I hit a quit. Hello, Tina, on channel 68.
I know, I'm here.
So that's the way it works. Pretty slick. Okay, so everybody who has a radio, why don't you turn it on? Okay, we're going to play with the scrambler, even if you have a non-DSC radio. It's kind of interesting. That's correct, yeah. 87 does not have a scrambler, yeah. Okay, so I set up channel 88. So you should all put your radio, you should turn your squelch up if you don't mind. And put your radio on channel 88. So for my testing purposes, all the radios that I programmed, channel 88 have the scrambler on if your radio supports it. So I'm going to go to channel 88. Okay? Are we all on channel 88? Okay, I'm going to step outside and talk and see who can hear, who can understand me, who cannot. Okay, so who understood me? Pretty neat, huh? Who did not understand me? So what did you hear? Ken? Bunch of garbage, right?
A bunch of garbage, yeah. It's white
Bunch of
noise.
garbage.
It sounded like white noise.
Yeah, it's scrambled, basically. That's what the scrambler does. Okay, you say, okay, why would I use this? Well, you know, maybe fishermen, two buddy fishermen that don't want everybody else to know how they're doing. Yeah.
So what is it?
There's a special mode I turn on, and part of my pro. You know what? Look at it whenever you get a chance. A little later on in the YAML files, you'll see at the bottom a scrambler, and I show you the codes that turns it on.
Some could be on, some couldn't.
Okay, because some radios don't have the descrambler. The older radios don't have the descrambler. So that's why they you know, it was all garbage to them. Okay, I think we're ready for the big test. Okay, so everybody has their radio on. So okay, the reason I can do it but you can't do it is you probably don't know what precautions you should take. One of them is I take the antenna off and I have a dummy load, okay, the old ham radio dummy load with my SMA connector, okay, and I'm also going to put my alkaline battery pack in, okay, so it's going to drop my transmission down to 1 watt instead of 6 watts. Correct. So the Coast Guard and other boats don't hear me. Okay, so everybody has their radio on, right? And once you put it on, what?
88, channel 88.
88's fine. I don't care. Any channel's fine.
And we're supposed to be back on 68.
You could be on any channel you want. I don't care.
Weather channel?
Huh?
Be on the weather.
I don't care. Any channel would work. Here we go. Here's the distress button.
Oh, it did.
Hey, Norm's in trouble.
So what do you hit to acknowledge this?
I don't know. I don't know what's on the menu. You see?
It says,
Oh, you hit any of the soft keys to stop the alarm.
Then you need to accept all.
accept, got it. Or you go to info. Cool.
Yeah. Okay, so I was able to cancel the call, and everybody heard that.
Oh, you know, maybe bring your box over there. The box must really.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm doing I'm playing some games to shield it. I don't want anybody else to hear it, so I think you get the picture. So since Fairwind is the biggest group here, I'll do a group to Fairwind. Group called the Fairwind. Okay? So just to show you the menus, okay, so I hit the menu button. I do a DSC call. This time instead of individual, I'm doing a group call. Okay, I'm going to get it from memory. Okay, so I got Channel Islands, Fairwind, and WSA in here. I'm going to select Fairwind. Select that. Pick a channel. I forgot to listen for a good channel, but let's assume that I found a good one. Transmit the call. So that concludes my talk.
It is all in one time. Okay, so pieces. What happened there? You just do that?
No, it's not me.
Somebody did it here as well. Okay, so here 16. So we just copy from this one.
So you want me to do a group call? What do you want me to do? Individual or group?
Group.